Hello. In a strange and painful instant, I once gave birth to a baby bat. This is Board Deck and Dice, and today we are looking at Dice Forge. Dice Forge comes from the same designer of the well-lauded Seasons and is a bit of a quandary in many ways. The box art and the insert and everything looks really pretty, but it also has this toy element with these almost Lego-like dice that you will roll on everyone's turn, and it looks complicated. The game looks like it has a lot of moving parts, and in a way it does, but actually we will see that what's inside is a simple game. So I've laid out some of the components here. They're too big to fit with my current camera setup, so let's just take a look at what you get. The first thing is a player board, which will be laid flat on the table in front of you, and some tracking markers. They will start at 0, and you will take a pawn of your colour as well and put that on the main board on your colour. The first player will take 3 gold, second player 2, third player 1, and the fourth player none. Now this is backwards to a lot of games, who will actually give the last player more advantage, but in this game you're going to be rolling your 2 dice on the start everyone's turn and taking those resources. So if I roll 2 gold, I'll put those up, and then at the start of everyone else's turn, and before I get mine, I'll have 3 more rolls before I spend any of the lovely stuff I've rolled. The dice come in 2 different versions, one which is lighter. They're not that different, they are different colours, but it's hard to see. But basically one gives you sun shard and gold, one gives you moon shard, gold and victory points. And this is all tracked by this. Gold is used to buy dice faces, sun shards and moon shards to buy cards, and also you can spend 2 moon shards to make another card purchase, or after you've made a card purchase, go and make a dice purchase should you wish, and then the score is tracked at the bottom along these 2 rows. So let's push that off for a while and look at the main board. This main board will lay flat on the table, it won't have the dice temple below it. Again, that's just for my ease. And around the board are these slots for cards. Now you come with game comes with a number of cards for setup, basic and advanced, and you can mix those in however you want. Some cards will affect your player board, so if you buy this card, you take out of the box an extension, and that adds on to the end of your player board like so, and you'll notice that you can carry these on, so if no one else has bought one, it's not 1 per player. If no one else has bought one, you can load up on those and stop other people getting them and start loading up on your resources. Another one of the basic cards which is very helpful is this gold tracker or foundry. You place that there, you take a token from the box, and you can, instead of putting gold along here, you can put it along here, and if you get to the top once you get 10 points, you flip it round and you can do it again for another 15. You can buy as many of these as you can afford on separate goes usually, unless you use 2 red to take a second purchase. Before you've even completed one, so again it's a way of stopping other people score points. Let's have a look at the main board. You take your starting pawns, you place them in the middle, and should you want to buy a card, you move your pawn to that place, spend the requirement so it goes up to more expensive, and if someone else is in the place where you want to buy from, you oust them and they go back here, and then they will take a major blessing, divine blessing, sorry. Whenever you take a divine blessing in the game, you basically roll both dice and add those resources to your tracker. If it's a minor blessing, you choose which dice to take and you roll them. So there's lots of very interesting cards that cost sun shards, moon shards, and a mixture of both. Some cards have the lightning symbol that are instants, and some cards have a symbol like a cog, which means they can be played every turn, and they're clearly marked on the back. In general, you turn cards over, and cards that don't have an ongoing effect have blank, and cards that have an ongoing effect or a reactionary effect have some sort of art to tell you. Also on the front, they also have victory points that they are worth at the end of the game. So this is worth 2 victory points, and these 2 are worth 0 because they're fairly powerful. This one lets you change 3 gold to 4 victory points as many times as you've got the gold to do so. So that's a look at the board and the cards. And let's get on to the point that has been the talking point for this game for many people, and that is the dice. Get rid of that. So here we have the temple and the gardens, and as you can see there are a plethora of dice faces that have gold costs. So they go from 2 all the way to 12. On your turn you can visit the dice foundry and spend as much gold as you want buying dice faces. The only rule is that you cannot buy the same dice face twice in one go. The dice face down the bottom here work off cards, so you will buy cards to get those dice face, and they can be ones that affect you, let you copy someone else's dice face, give you different resources depending on what colour you roll on your other dice, let you buy things cheaper. This is what an interesting one they actually put on someone else's dice, and when they roll it you get resources, and this triples whatever you roll on the other dice. I like that one. So say I come to the temple with 10 gold and I decide to buy the 6 gold and the 2 gold. I will then decide where to put them on my dice, and I'll take one of the other ones and just use it to lever off and then just replace it. So I've upgraded that from a 1 to a 2. You keep the other dice face in front of you because that is one of the cards, a couple of the cards I think, or one at the minute, reacts to how many dice face you've changed and gives you points for that. And then I might take up 1 gold off. You do have to be careful because they can flick off very far and change it to a 6. So now when I roll these dice I've got more chance of getting better resources. And that is essentially the game. You go for 9 to 10 rounds depending on player count. There's a tracker on the board, and at the end of that time you will count up your score, your points on your board that you've tracked here, and your points on top of the cards. Add those together, the person with the most points is the winner. So that is Dice Forge, very briefly and hopefully understandable. Like I say, the insert for this is fantastic and functional. If you like, you can have the dice temple sit here, and everything you will need in the game is within reach. Point trackers if you go over 100, various tokens that you can earn from cards, the board extensions, everything you need is there, and it all stores very well. Even the dice temple has a sleeve and a bit of elastic to go around it to keep all the dice face in. So the only pain is the setup isn't a pain, but teardown is when you have to return all those dice to their original format. But it's kind of quite fun levering off the Lego pieces and sticking them back on. The components are excellent. These are kind of, I believe, heat transferred dice. I have had a couple of the ones where the paint hasn't fully covered or the heat seeking process hasn't been properly done, and there was bits missing. I've contacted Asmodee Europe and they sent them out really quickly, so that's not been a problem. I really like the board, the individual trackers. I like the things that can add on to that. I usually go for at least one of these in a game, and I usually go for a gold foundry one where you can get more points as well, because it just makes sense. The game comes with a really clear instruction manual, although it is annoyingly done long ways, which makes it hard to read why it couldn't have been done like this. I guess their design work or whatever, but it gives you full instructions for the setup of the insert and where to put things, and really the instructions for how to play it, just the back page. So it's really simple, really well explained, leaves little room for doubt. And you also get a crib sheet to all the card powers in detail, and round turns and the dice faces, what they do. This has been a hit with all those I've played it with. The physical aspect of upgrading your dice but still having that look, but especially in a 3 or 4 player game, you're going to get a lot of rolls before it comes back around your turn, so there's a chance, a strong chance that you're going to be able to do something. Certainly with some of the cards that you've picked up as well. There's one of my favourite cards is one that lets you take a minor blessing each turn. So essentially you're getting 3 dice rolls each turn. And as soon as you've got 2 or 3 dice face on there, you're going to get something you can use. By the time your turn comes round, you're going to be able to buy something and improve your chances. If I had one complaint about Dice Forge, it would be that at present, I haven't mixed the cards between the suggested advanced setup and the suggested basic setup. And I have found the basic setup more interesting because my style of play is to have more options on your go. So I like to buy the cards that you activate every turn should you choose to. There's more of those and more interesting ones in the basic set than there is in the advanced set. So I haven't tried maxing that out with all the one-time action cards per turn, but that was just interesting to me that I would find the basic set more interesting, and there's clearly room in the box for more cards, and a very simple expansion would add more cards, and I'd like to see more cards of that nature, the cog ones particularly. I didn't feel there was enough in the game. Perhaps that's what keeps it simple and approachable, but I would like to see more of those where I can build a real kind of secondary engine on my tableau. Because really what I realise in this game is the engine you're building is these dice and how they react, and so you are building an engine on dice face, which yes does rely on luck, but if you wanted to, you could get as many times 3 as you could on one dice and then loads of big numbers on this dice and just play the odds for that one. So the engine you're building is rather on the dice than the tableau, but there is potential for there to be a second engine in the tableau that lets you refire the first engine. This has been easy to teach. I think I've said that. My 7-year-old gets it, my wife gets it, it looks nice, it's inviting for people. Yes, it does look complicated when you first set it up, and for new gamers they can be like, what? But actually when you work through it, the easiest way is just to play a turn, and it's so simple. You roll your 2 dice, you choose what you activate any actions, you choose what you're going to spend, either go to the temple or a spot on the board and buy a card. Then you choose whether you're going to fire off your 2 sun shards to take another buying action. So if you've been to the temple, you can then go and buy a card. If you bought a card, you can buy another card or go to the temple and get a dice face, and that's it, and you pass the go on. The hardest thing I found in this game is keeping track of the rounds, because I keep forgetting to move the tracker on, because it just feels like you wanna go again, you wanna roll again and build your engine up a bit more. And I guess actually thinking about a second criticism I might have is, I think the game ends too soon often. You've just got your kind of 6th dice face on and you're looking forward to rolling those bad boys, and suddenly it's round 9 or 10 and you haven't got time to do that. And yes, you've amassed a ton of points and lots of interesting cards, but you want that one more turn just to roll that dice that you've just got. But maybe that's a good thing, and maybe that will keep me coming back to it. There's quite a lot of replayability in the box. The cost for what you are getting, I think, is phenomenal. This is around £25 to £30 at the moment, and that is phenomenal value for the components you are getting, for the amount of game you are getting. That is phenomenal. So, intimidation factor. Oh, it's hard to say with this one. There's a lot of symbology, a lot going on. You have a separate book for all the different powers on the dice and the cards. So there is intimidation there, but it's all done in a kind of very friendly, not Fisher-Price way, but kind of Lego way, where it's very friendly and approachable. And yet there is some meat there. I would still call it a light game, but there is some meat there, particularly if more of those cards come in where you can keep them in front of you and activate them turn after turn. The rules are easy to learn. The rule book, the most difficult thing, like I've said, is the layout being a long rule book, and that's it. And the fun, every time I played this has been fun. The downtime between turns is hardly noticeable, because by the time you've rolled your dice and added your resources on, you generally find that someone has finished their go. They've bought the dice face they want, they've gone and got the card they want, they might have ousted you, so you get to roll your dice again. The biggest hold up to play is when someone buys more than one dice face at a time, and because that generally happens at the end of the go, they're levering off and putting their dice on, you have to wait for them so everyone can roll their dice again. and that's it for Hold Up. This is a great package for families. I think most gamers, as long as you're not solely into just heavy or mediums heavy, as long as you've got room for some lightweight, enjoyable fare in your game that is in all likelihood going to be expanded with more cards and more interesting options, then I really think this is well worth your time. Thanks for watching Board Deck and Dice. Don't forget to check out my written reviews, which are now appearing on Zatu online board game store, the link for which will be in the description, and we will see you again next time.